Okay, hey everyone. This is the Pro-Truth Pledge meeting in Ohio. What day is the, remind me?
It's January 7th, it's
January
Sunday.
January 7th, Sunday.
Hi.
Hi everyone. So we're all here. And so we'll be recording this meeting. So the first thing I want to do is take care of a couple of housekeeping matters for calendaring. So first of all, the next meeting, Agnes and I will be on vacation. We'll be out of town. Think of us well when we'll be in Florida. Hopefully.
Don't hate us.
Yes, exactly. That's why I said think of us well when we'll be in Florida. So usually, if you don't have it in your calendar yet, the usual meetings are the first Sunday of the month at 6 o'clock at this house. So please put that in your calendar with the exception of the next meeting. So the next meeting will be Sunday, the 28th, this January. Here.
And this is the Ohio Pro-Truth
Yep.
Yes.
monthly meeting?
Yep.
From 6 to 8.
Yes.
Same time, just a different Sunday.
Yes, just the fourth Sunday.
So there's no meeting.
Right.
The first Sunday of February.
Right. There is no meeting on Sunday the 4th. So those who have that on their calendar can delete that. And the regular meetings will resume from March Sunday the 4th. And you can put that as a repeating meeting on the first Sunday at 6 o'clock here from 6 to 8.
The first Sunday in April is April Fool's Day.
Excellent.
We're still having a meeting.
We're
about
still having a
truth.
meeting. That's right.
About
That's right.
using science to promote truth, yes.
That's right. That's right.
Good catch.
Yes. You're allowed to play April Fool's jokes.
No, no.
Agnes is very credulous.
I'm very gullible.
Yes. That's why I used,
Let's just
I used a nicer form of it. Okay. And we have the Pro-Truth Pledge
Are there other
social.
housekeeping?
Yes, the other housekeeping. We'll talk about this later today, but I just wanted, while we're doing housekeeping, the Pro-Truth Pledge social is going to be on the 16th on Tuesday at 6 p.m. at Rusty Bucket here in Clintonville.
What was the date?
The
January
16th.
16th. Oh. At 6 p.m. also?
Yes.
That's what we planned.
We have 9 people already saying they're going to go.
Excellent.
Last
So
time I
it's yes, it's for people who need an address. It's 4109 North High Street.
What?
4109 North High Street at 6 p.m. 6 to 8. The same time. So that's a meeting where it's not at all obliged, but it's encouraged to bring people who you think might be interested in the Pro-Truth Pledge. And it's a good way, kind of low-key way for them to get to know what it's about. And Duff will speak more about that. He's the social chair. I just want to get that while we're doing the calendar. And the last thing, so Agnes brought out some business cards.
Yes.
And for people who haven't seen these yet, Agnes will show them.
These are both seal boxes.
That was 6 to 8 for the social.
So this is one of maybe remaining 10 boxes that we have of business cards. They're cute little cards. And the whole Pro-Truth Pledge fits on the front and back. Oh, this one's a blank. So that these are great if you're talking to someone to give it to them and they can read these 12 behaviors on front and back. And the website is here. So at a minimum, this is very easy to spread the word. And you're welcome to take as many as you'd like. And that's the benefit of being at a meeting. Yay. Please
you.
pass around. Take more. Yeah, like there's tons. Or yeah, paper clips. We need.
So here are paper clips that you can use to paperclip them.
And we have
Feature.
bigger clips if you want to take more.
So I'm gonna pass them around. Seriously, take as many as you
Keep them
want.
in your car.
Yes, we have them in our car. We have them, everywhere. You know, if you have colleagues, just pass them around and say, "Hey, this is what it's about."
We also have merchandise that you are welcome to buy on our website.
Mhm.
We have T-shirts and hats and little bags, like tote bags with the logo.
We're meeting tomorrow.
Yes, with Kiplers. Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about that stuff in a bit. Cool. Okay.
Oh yeah, those are
Thank you.
tiny. I'll get something for you. We have bigger clothes if you
The North Star Cafe tomorrow.
Yes, that's
It's
right.
3:30.
Yes. Mhm. Okay. So we want to. So for the agenda, just so we're getting to the agenda right now, part. So we checked in, distributed stuff, did calendaring. We're gonna first review activities by participants over the last month, for those who participated. Then we'll talk a little bit about our strategy for the upcoming year, and discuss plans for the next month, and that will be the plan that we're going for. Cool, sounds good. Questions? Great. All right, so let's go around. I can share first. So we've been doing. My main focus has been promoting the book, The Truth Seeker's Handbook, the Science-Based Guide. So that's the book over there. We have paper copies available. They're $20 each. And the online version is available on Amazon.
pass around.
Yeah, the online
You
version.
can't click on the links in the book,
Yes.
but in the ebook, it's very heavily.
I'm getting mine tomorrow.
Oh,
excellent.
Amazon, and I also connected my Smile account
Oh,
to.
wonderful.
Intentional sites. Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
That's excellent.
That's great.
Thank you. It makes a difference.
Yeah, the Kindle copy.
Excellent. Yeah, so
So you can autograph it.
please,
Oh, that's
I'll be happy to
nice.
do so.
And we still have offer. Oh, I'll mention it. Come around.
Sure. So I was working a lot on this. Now the big news. Look, autograph. Do you want to take a look at this?
I looked at it all the time.
Mhm.
I gotta buy my ebook. So
Mhm.
I'll be doing that sometime this week.
Sure. So the nice thing about the book. Oh, can you pass that up to me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about this book is that it essentially expands upon the principles behind the Pro-Truth Pledge and talks about how to apply them to all areas of life. So that's kind of what the book is about. You have 12 behaviors of the Pro-Truth Pledge, and this is really kind of expanding, applying them to all other life areas, using behavioral science to figure out the truth and also how to help orient others around you toward the truth. So that's been one area. The other has been, I do the global coordination of volunteers around the world on this. And so we've been doing quite a bit of strategic planning, and Gary is in that committee and Agnes is in that committee. So we've been doing some strategic planning for the global one, which we'll bring to the local context in a bit. So that's the other thing. And then I've been preparing for the presentation at the Columbus Metropolitan Club. So the Columbus Metropolitan Club is a club of movers and shakers here in Columbus. Essentially, that's kind of the best way of describing it. It's kind of influencers, people like bankers, lawyers, journalists, and so on, so I'll be doing a presentation there on Wednesday. It's been a long time coming. And the last thing has been cultivating Columbus politicians. And the good news there is that I might have mentioned this pretty privately, but to a couple of you privately, but Council Member Michael Stenziano took the Pro-Truth Pledge, and he's the pro tem president of the City Council. So that's kind of a pretty big deal. So whenever, somebody in the Columbus area says, which politicians have taken the pro-truth pledge, you might not know anything about politicians in Columbus, but basically Michael Stenziano, in terms of power right now, is second behind Ginter. So because he's the pro tem council president.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, so
And just to be clear, it's one of the several politicians and candidates who took, so we have
Yes.
others, but he's just more notable.
he's the most notable. We have
And
a number of others who have taken the pro-truth pledge. So, and he took it as a result of a long period of cultivation. And I can talk about that for some minutes, but that's kind of what I've been working.
So obviously we have the social coming up, and most of what we need to say about the social has been said, but essentially it's for us to get to know each other better and also bring along people in an environment that's more friendly and not, hey, would you sign up for this kind of thing, although usually comes up. So that's why we're all getting together. So it's a great opportunity to invite people to an event where we can then make friends and get to know each other on a more social level. Enough said about that. We don't have the, I suppose, private room at the Rusty Bucket this time. They do have a patio area, which is, of course, not outside at the moment. It's been made interior and comes with heaters. And I said, yeah, we'll take a table inside. Now, of course, it's supposed to be up to like 40 degrees by the time we get there, so maybe it wouldn't be so bad. We can decide at that time when we get there. I'll probably get there 15, 20 minutes early just to make sure there's somebody there to greet everybody when they get in. And I'll take a look at the patio if that makes more sense. If it is more private, we'll see. The private room was taken at 6:30, so we didn't get it in time. The Rusty Bucket does offer a coordination plan with organizations where you can get a percentage of the money spent. It does not have to be just people who come to our meeting per se, but they will make up flyers for us and we distribute the flyers, and then people who come in, they get a discount on their meal. And in addition, the organization gets a percentage. Now, I need to talk to a general manager, I gather. I spoke to a manager, and I need 30 days in advance, which I did not plan that far in advance on this one. So we'll get that next time, and the organization can make a little money, and anybody can use that. It doesn't have to be members. We can just hand those out on the street, and that will help. I don't think we should stand right in front of the building. They probably wouldn't let us do that again, but you can hand these out to anybody. So that would be helpful in the future for funding. The other things I've been doing is getting the runaround from the Secretary of State's office on how to find the names and contact information of primary candidates for this year. I keep saying next year, it's already next year. And the people who answer the phone are very nice and don't know anything. So except for one, she was fairly helpful on it. But I did manage to get to a back office at one point where somebody did know what they were talking about. But I keep getting, first of all, I'm getting two different dates. One is at the end of January and one is in February when the information is even available because the registration process is complete. I believe February something is the right date. I don't know if I have it written down, but I've still got to make some calls on this, obviously. The other thing is the only way we can get the information that we want, which includes contact information, is a public records request. They do not publish the addresses and or contact information of the candidates.
You're kidding.
The counties where the elections actually happen will publish the names, but that's all. And you would have to go to 88 county websites to find the information. So a public records request is probably the best way to do this. Now, the last thing I left off on was, well, how long does the turnaround on a public records request?
If I remember correctly, Ohio law suggests that the minimal expectation should be 2 weeks. I mean, they can drag their feet, but 2 weeks is kind of let's suppose like within normal period of time.
Well, you apparently know more than anybody I've spoken to at the Secretary of
As,
State's office.
as somebody with a background in
So
stuff.
I got a name and a email address. They wouldn't put me through to him on the phone, the guy who actually processes the public records requests. And the email address came back to me. So I called back and they were going to get back to me, and I haven't heard back. So I'll get back to them again this week. It did occur to me actually as I was sitting here that maybe I should put in a public records request for the last elections list, because that would include probably at least half the people running this time, right?
That's smart.
So,
You might put in for both.
yes,
And-
no, I'll put in for both. I'm just thinking I can get the last
Yes,
one now.
that makes
I don't have to
sense.
wait. So we can go
Yes.
after all the people who actually got the election or got elected.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So that might be a good way to do it.
Mhm.
So I'll do both, but I'm going to try to get a hold of the guy who actually does the PRRs next week.
So you're saying
Excellent, thank you.
people that are running for office don't have contact information that's easily accessible
Exactly.
through the Secretary of State.
Exactly.
That's like an episode of Monty Python.
Yeah, I found it highly interesting. At the same time,
Sunshine
the
laws,
argument-
please.
yeah, the argument she made was, well, listen, this is their home address that we're talking about.
My home
And I
address is
said-
available as a homeowner.
Yeah, I said, yeah, they're public representatives. So what? I was a little more polite than that, but
I can understand that though. I had a friend who wrote not even a letter to, I guess a letter to the editor, but I mean like literally, like a 4-sentence letter to the editor to the Dispatch, and got hate mail the next week.
I've had the
and-
same thing happen.
Right. I mean, so I don't know. I feel like as a public figure, I mean, but the fact that they don't have their like PO address at their
Right, that's
office,
what I was thinking.
Yeah,
like,
That's
office,
you know,
I don't need their
home
home address. Office would
You
be
know,
fine.
like-
Just
Yeah,
some
box.
email address would
Why
be
not
fine.
email?
Yeah.
and an email. I
So
know.
anyway, it is not publicly available unless requested. So
That's true.
I will figure that out more. The third thing I was working on was the candidate that I worked for during the last election for Upper Arlington City Council. Did give me the contact information for her campaign manager, but that came at a time that I was in the middle of doing 18 other things, including trying to pass my Series 65 exam, which I did pass, by the way.
Excellent.
So
Yeah.
thank you. That's a securities exam. I'm in the financial business,
Okay.
so that allows me to do things that I couldn't do and get more jobs. But anyway, the idea being, I need to find out more about how the pro-truth pledge would be viewed and utilized by a campaign, and just kind of delve into the brain of a campaign manager a little bit. So I honestly dropped the ball on that one, and we'll get back to that this week.
Cool.
That's it for me.
Thank you.
Lots of stuff. And your job searching at the same time.
Yes,
And holidays.
that's why the third thing kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Impressive. Again, just switching
Yeah.
around.
It generally says
It says
reasonable length of time, which is 2 weeks. So I was looking at Ohio sunshine laws. Yeah. So hopefully,
Which is open for interpretation, of course.
yes, it's reasonable period of time. But 2 weeks is the kind of standard.
do you have anything to share?
Sure. So we, so I'm kind of new to all of this, so I haven't done a lot yet. But do you want me to talk at all about the letter writing campaign, or are you going to talk about that?
You can definitely talk about it.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Thank
so-
you.
Agnes and I met about her ideas for a letter writing campaign, about sending sort of formal handwritten letters to not politicians, but reaching that other side. So like CEOs in the Columbus area or nationally, and maybe celebrities and things like that. And so, or just other people who'd be in the public eye and would have something to do with the dissemination of information, people who might be advocating for fake news. Even just someone, say, if you could get them to tweet about, the Pro-Truth Pledge, and they have a lot of followers. So we're also thinking of hosting a letter writing event at the end of the month, and so that people can come and we can write those out and really take the time to make them something that someone might actually read, because just emails get incredibly lost. I took a little time to look up some stuff about best contact methods for people that aren't politicians. And I do know that I was speaking to a friend who is not any longer, but was a legislative aide a couple years ago, and was talking about just all the processes, like the irradiation process that all letters have to go through.
Oh my goodness.
And how that's probably similar for like CEOs of major companies or anyone who has some sort of celebrity status. So I think that does make it complicated. So we'll have to think about that. Maybe like the letter writing will be for that middle tier. I don't know. It'll be something that we'll have to talk about. And I was looking at, I wrote some ideas, but I'm looking for like people. So I did people in organizations with a national following. Political groups for young people, like the Young Democrats and Young Republicans, and
these are national contacts?
Yeah, national and local. So I have like Ohio State College Republicans as well as like national groups like Young Progressives of America, and then other organizations interested in fake news that we might be able to get to. You know, if like on the sidebar they put us as a link, related link or something like that. So I wrote those up with what I thought was the best contact method for all of them, with people like bloggers who might be better off contacting them through the comment section on their blog or through email or something. So I don't know, I just did a little bit of research into each of those people and what would make them listen. So we can all think about that.
So someone in the room might know Scott Alexander.
Oh, okay.
Have you met Scott Alexander?
Yeah, I know Scott Alexander.
Yeah.
Call
Yeah.
So
So I did not put phone numbers, so I should put phone numbers.
That's a great job.
But
Yeah.
so it's But I don't know. I thought we could talk. It would be good to talk at some point about, like how to use. I mean, I know we're already using social media a lot, but how to get people to add us to Twitter, because I know that. I mean, with Facebook, we have the banner and everything.
We have a Twitter.
We have a
ribbon.
Twibbon.
You have a. Okay.
We have a
And I can
Twibbon.
share that. Yeah,
Okay.
we have a Twibbon. Little thing, yeah. I'm just very impressed because I
This is
fell
awesome.
behind in following up on Natalie. We talked less than a week ago, and she like not only followed up, learned more stuff, and even typed up stuff. That's like very unusual
Well, I
overachievement.
was like,
Thank you so
I have
much.
to bring someone to the meeting.
Very impressive.
This is
It's
great.
way more than
That is
many people.
fantastic.
That's really impressive.
I
This is way above and beyond.
I think it's a
like,
great idea.
yeah.
I have to say, I'm not going to be volunteering for writing letters because my
Sure.
handwriting is horrible.
what-
I used to
You
try to
can-
write thank
you can
you letters
be
to
cheerleading with
clients. It would take me 2 or 3 tries to get it
Aw.
half decent.
Aw.
I do like calligraphy, but then my like non-calligraphy handwriting is total crap. So it's, you're either getting like fancy script or unreadable mesh. So I'll have to work on something in between.
Fancy script is good, but here you could see the pinned tweet on the Pro Truth Pledge page.
Okay.
That's the Twibbon. So anybody who
Oh,
goes,
okay.
anybody who goes to the Pro Truth Pledge Twitter account and sees the pinned tweet, that's the Twibbon for the Pro Truth Pledge.
Okay, great. Okay, I will.
Sure. Excellent. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the initiative.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Everyone,
Very
please still
impressive.
comment even if you don't do this level of stuff.
Yes. No, seriously, no, but I mean, the
That's
initiative,
really
the initiative
helpful,
deserves
Yes.
recognition.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Well done.
Mhm.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Kirk, the letter writing campaign, I'm trying to coordinate with some people also outside of Columbus. So here in Columbus, we can get, those of us who have like legible handwriting can get together. We're thinking like in our house, or maybe go to Panera down the street and handwrite. But folks, if you're watching, you can write from your home. We're gonna prepare templates. And I know you recently finished your English degree, so maybe Natalie can help with some templates.
Mhm.
And so to handwrite letters. But what we plan to do is that,
It'll be more fun.
Huh?
It'll be more fun if you're.
It's a little more fun, yes. But to drop the letter in the mail, that's personal. And then within a week to 10 days, I would personally like tweet this person, email this person, call their office or their assistant or whatever. Just try to see what we can do, because I wrote one letter so far, which is kind of like a test, and 30 minutes of solid handwriting time. Like, we don't want that to go to waste. I wrote a letter to Les Wexner. I mean,
Might as well aim high.
Huh?
Might as well
yeah,
aim
but
high.
we knew that Gleb will be speaking at that Columbus Metropolitan Club, so maybe he'll send his people or something. So that's something that's happening. Otherwise, it's the first week of January, first week of December. So December was a very busy fundraising month for Intentional Insights. And so we did our first fundraising mailing. It was very exciting and also very expensive. And we're waiting to see if, how many new donors we can bring in. So that was fun. Also, I'm working on the website because apparently now, just I guess like a lot of things I'm working on, they're not like local things, but trying to stay on top of the Intentional Insights website. Gleb is also trying to get into some professional speaking.
You made me go and buy clothing.
When you want to try and make $1 million off people, or even like any money, you gotta look like.
She told me when I go to the CMC, I need to like have a suit and stuff. So we went to the store and we dropped like $2,000 on this stuff. It was just crazy.
On the Christmas sale, so it was like $3,000 worth of clothes.
It's crazy. Thank you.
Next
It's
time,
my first suit.
the next meeting, we'd like a fashion show.
That's gonna
Thanks.
cost.
Yes.
He
like a
barely made
donation
it
for
out
that.
of the thing alive.
Yes.
And I'm like, like if we shop around, we can save even more. He's like, we're buying everything all in one day, and I'm not gonna shop for like another 5 years at least if I can. And yeah, so yeah.
If you buy traditional cuts, they'll last forever.
Yeah, that was the idea. I'm like, that's cost how much? Bob was like, I'll take 2. Because yeah, they're good sales. And actually, if anyone's going to Men's Warehouse, we have like a little coupon. They give us $30 off $100.
Yes, we're not going.
We're not going because we spent hundreds of dollars. But yeah, if anybody knows how ties and suits and shirts are properly matched, I would love to not be the only person to help. Of course, apparently not very good at communicating about colors. So the other things we're doing, the strategic planning is very exciting for the Pro Truth Pledge since we just hit 5,000 signatures today. And our goal is that a year from now, we're not just going to have, 10,000. We want to have 100,000. Because our goal is not just to get signatures, it's to move the needle on the national conversation on where our society is going with the respect and value for facts and truth and differentiating between facts and opinions. So we're doing some really good work and plans with folks like Gary with their business expertise, so it's very exciting. And I'm going to stop there.
Thank you.
There's someone else. Would you like to share anything?
Just I had one convert, and I think
Oh.
you might have saw that I posted it.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
in the Ohio group.
You
That
guys
was
saw it
awesome.
on Facebook?
Yeah, I read a lot of news on the internet. I don't even watch TV, and so I'm in the comment section a lot because I want to spread this, truth and logic and rationality. So I mentioned something about the Pro-Truth Pledge and those values, and a lady wrote a comment under mine and said, I just went and signed up.
Oh, that's so
Aw.
I think
wonderful.
I posted the link also,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it made it easy for her to just hit it.
Yeah.
It's good
So,
to make it easy for people.
She was my first convert.
That's
and
wonderful.
yeah, so I hope I can do that more. And I am just reading. I am amazed at how much information and how focused you are and how much information you put on the web. I can't even read it all. I'm like,
Thank you.
there's podcasts and articles and videos, and you've worked very hard. So I'm trying to catch up. So I want to develop. A good way to segue into conversations that I have with people. That's one of my assets. I think I'm not shy. I'll talk to anybody about anything because I love everybody and I just want to hug everyone when I meet them. So,
Agnes likes sex.
that's what I'm working on right now is to get enough information about the organization and then finding a way to segue, like I said, into normal everyday conversations with people that I have run across. And this will be really helpful too with the cards to have that. And then I want to branch out and just bombard the internet, the comment sections and stuff. And people can say, oh, nobody's going to read it, or there's too many comments, it's not going to make a difference. And I'm so opposite that. I am like, every little seed you can plant out there to combat this horrible, horrible conversation that people partake in. Anything that we can put out there that's good and light and enlightening helps in some way. So I don't get discouraged. I get called names a lot, but that's okay, because that's more a reflection of them, not me. So I don't take it personally. I bring it on, So down the road, I hope to maybe get a group together where I live in Urbana. And Urbana is close to Springfield and Bell Fountain, and there's some other little towns around there. So that would be really neat if that could happen. But until that does, I want to be here with you guys and help here. So
Excellent.
That's great. We have we just published a blog on starting up a Pro Truth Pledge chapter, so that'll be helpful for you. Can you make a note to send a blog to Linda? Great.
Yes, I need to start.
One tip that I find useful, or people who do the comment sections find useful, is to set up a Google alert. Do you know what Google alerts are?
Yeah.
For a topic like fake news.
Oh, okay.
And then you get articles delivered to your inbox on all fake news, and then you can choose to go to those articles and engage in direct conversations about the topic of fake news.
Excellent idea. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking too, like, have you sort of done, I'm sure you have, but like a lit review of all of the bloggers who have written on fake news in the last, sort of like 2 months, just like Google search for whatever's written on.
So we have one of the things we have is a system where we get alerts about Google alert about fake news, and then there's a volunteer contractor who goes from my Twitter account, who is a social media manager, and who tweets to the person who wrote it saying, "Hey, thank you for your coverage of fake news. You might be interested in this project."
Awesome.
So we kind of have an automated process, not an automated human process, but where that is part of the process that we do.
Nice. I was going to say you should do that, but you're already doing it.
Wonderful. Well, more ideas like
so
this.
many.
I mean, you have lots of ideas that we didn't have, and we have some ideas that you already have. That's
We have some things that we're doing, but we also have some things that we didn't think of. And we also have some things we'd like to do, but we don't have.
I mean, these are
resources to do.
like some great ideas.
That's
excellent.
really excellent.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent.
My turn. I'm going to start with the personal. What I've been doing is, in fact, they did it twice today with Facebook. I don't have a lot of followers. I probably have like 300 or 350. But I look for when someone gets bit by fake news or has a strong reaction, and then I'll comment on their strong reaction, and I'll just say, hey, you might want to consider the Pro-Truth Pledge. And then I just put protruthpledge.org. And I don't do it every time. I actually use more of a random approach because I don't want to be seen as some sort of hellion that's, on this campaign to make up for the fact my mother didn't love me when I was little or something like that. So I try to be as intense as I am, and I'm a very intense person. I tend to dial it down and just put it in when it seems like someone got wounded or caught totally off guard, saying, well, you might want to consider taking the Pro-Truth Pledge. And so I just kind of sprinkling it, I guess, would be the best way to refer to it. The philanthropy, because Agnes and I were working on philanthropic, I have not worked on that at all yet because of the holidays. Because we're looking at, my goal is find people who honesty in the media is critical to their survival, and philanthropic groups typically are one of those areas, especially with the new tax law, knowing what's going on and having things honestly reported. I mean, I have a friend who's a director for a rehab center, and there's real concern about the viability of the rehab center due to the change in the tax laws. I mean,
Yeah.
Probably enough said. Everyone's eyes are, you guys are with it. Okay. So I'm going to pick that up eventually. The other thing I've been focusing on is a really thorny problem, and that is bringing the Pro-Truth Pledge to business. Gleb and I are going to meet with Kip Morris tomorrow, who's the executive director of the Better Business Bureau.
Hey. There's a place to couch.
Where are we sitting?
There's a place
Over
to
there,
couch.
Harry.
Something.
Seat's already warm.
Right?
Yeah,
You may want to wash your hands because my gloves were out in the cold and there was like stuff on there. It was like touching on the bus. So.
Okay. Settle in. You need to wash your hands.
Yeah, I know.
That's the kitchen.
No.
So what I've experienced so far with business is resistance.
Who are we meeting with tomorrow?
Okay, tomorrow, Gleb and I are meeting with Kip Morris,
KIP. And like
who's
more
the
for-
executive director of the Better Business Bureau. And specifically, we're going to meet, one of the things we want to do is bring up this issue. Gleb arranged the meeting.
Yes, Kip Morse is an ally. He took the Pro-Truth Pledge and
Right.
he supports the kind of the idea of the Pro-Truth Pledge. And the Pro-Truth Pledge has quite a lot of parallels to the Better Business Bureau. It's essentially, in a way, the Better Business Bureau for public officials, whereas, the Better Business Bureau helps support ethical behavior for businesses. This helps support ethical
Right.
behavior or truthful behavior. Not the same thing as ethical, just to be clear. Truthful behavior for public figures, organizations, and so on.
So what's occurred so far, at least for me, because I've been spending time on
I didn't see me open the kitchen.
No, it's still used. It's
why,
It's in
what's the difficulty I'm having. And what I realize
No, there's some.
is
Whoops. Sorry.
I'm trying to take the political approach, which is, when you think of the Pro-Truth Pledge, fake news that goes to politics. And essentially what I was trying to do was put a veneer on top of the political conversation. Well, that lacks authenticity. So what I'm driving for now is a conversation regarding the Pro-Truth Pledge that actually has a high degree of independence from the political conversation. I mean, in the end, it's all connected. But what happens in business is several things. People are highly transactional, so they're focused on, okay, when I talk, what does that do to the next widget I want to sell? I mean, it's amazing how transactional people are. And I'm finding business people lead two lives. They have their business life, and then they have what they do in their personal life. So they might have a broader frame of mind in their personal life, but there's a worry about destabilizing their business based on how they talk. So they get highly transactional. And the other thing that I run into is sterility. When I go to lunch and learns, when I go to some chamber after hours, etc., people studiously avoid anything that would smack of talking about the Pro-Truth Pledge. In fact, when I bring it up, usually what's assumed, it's such I'm finding it people are threatened by it, whatever vision they have. They think I'm on the other side trying to convert them. So if I'm talking to people that lean left, this sneaky conservative who's trying to get them to sign up, and then people on the right think that somehow I've been infected by Hillary Clinton. And I'm coming after them. I mean, it's amazing. It is. This concern is present because of the destabilizing effect of false news. Talk about that yet because it'll just get worse if I start talking about that directly. So Kip probably is more astute at the nuances of doing this. So hopefully goal is to find a way to bring this into business without necessarily referencing the politics, and then put it out to the, you know, through this group or whomever, then we'll put it out to everybody that's going after business. So in the end, once I can get the argument down, I do have a meeting with the Dublin Chamber of Commerce, with the COO, 4 or 5 days after we meet with Kip. And my goal is to hit all the peripheral chambers of commerce first before considering even going to Columbus Chamber right now. I don't consider that accessible. I think I'm rather invisible on the food chain. So my goal is to hit all of the community chamber of commerces, get that argument going, hit the chamber of commerces, and then in terms of political influential people, back to the philanthropic, see if I can get a presentation going for them. So
Excellent. Thank you. And I think you met with Susan Lear, who's also
Yes.
a business owner in Dublin, to talk about collaboration.
Susan was, she's having a hard time because she's run into the same thing, that people, the conversation gets pretty dicey if you risk trying to talk about this with business people.
Yeah. One of the things we are doing to help advance that goal is, besides meeting with Kip at the local level, is we're getting a couple of business professionals to write blogs for the Pro-Truth Pledge about why they took the Pro-Truth Pledge.
Okay.
So that should hopefully an easier conversation starter. You know, hey, I took this. I saw this blog and I thought this was a good idea.
And if you'll send those to me,
I will when they're done.
because I moved the Dublin meeting so I can drop Kip's name.
Of course.
Because hi, I'm Gary Monty. You know, I'm sure you're glad to listen to me. No.
Yes. So I'll send those to you when they're done. Yeah, one is going to be by a stock investor and one is going to be by just a business.
Excellent.
So two perspectives.
I mean, it's really fascinating because commerce is one person meeting another person's needs, and it all runs based on trust. So you would think business would actually lean into this more, and no, there's just such a panic and such a concern. It's like, I don't know what I want to talk about.
And Gary also does. He's done, and he's going to schedule to do some presentations.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did one that actually went quite well with the OSU Kiwanis. And this week, I've got another Kiwanis club. Is it Northwest? Anyway.
Yeah, I think because that's your local area.
Oh, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. If any of you are going to speak, one of the questions I get asked is, okay, so how do you get a troll to shut up? Or the variant on that is, how do you win? And I don't, when I say that isn't what this is about, what it's about is simply asking, where did you get that information? And I get a bit of a pushback on that because the urge to win.
It's not what they want.
That's what they want. And I told them, I said, well, you know, there's some I just want to pinch their heads off. I know what you're talking about. You know?
But that's not.
But that isn't what the Pro-Truth Pledge is about. And so one of the deflating aspects is when talking to them about how the Pro-Truth Pledge works, people suddenly realize, oh, this is one small foot in front of another small foot at a time. And what they're looking for is the adrenaline rush or Popeye's can of spinach or something like that. It's just going to knock it out of just silence all these trolls. I just only had this happened at one meeting at OSU, and I probably spent 15 to 20% of my time staying with. I let go of reacting, but I mentioned to them, well, this is why your input is so important. Look at guerrilla movements. You just keep on locking arms with people. There is no big dog here. Not that we aren't looking for big dogs. When you look at how movements move, it's actually a lot of people with a little piece of power. Movements like this don't go top down. Oh, and I think I had mentioned with Nixon, with Rachel Carson. And in fact, I think that was a turning point. So thanks for, you might share that with versus Rachel Carson, because it did have, fortunately, there were enough older people that had an effect.
So that was the environmental movement, the modern environmental movement, which started when people started. It was the traditional, conserve the land so we can hunt, the elite environmental movement. But the modern environmental movement against pollution started around 1960 and began to gain popularity around 1962 with the publication of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring. Later, Richard Nixon created the Environmental Protection Agency. It's like 8 years. In the context of modern movements, that's a very, very, very short period of time.
And the other thing is, you had apparently two ends of the political spectrum that it didn't really matter. They found common ground.
Right.
Who would expect
Republican.
a highly conservative Republican to back development? So that when I put that out, the more of those kind of arguments I can get, the better, because I learned real quick. It's not that I'm convincing; it's that the arguments make sense to the people that are listening.
Just find the right language for each person.
Is anyone else presenting besides me? Glad.
We're gonna talk separately in that. This is like sharing or?
Yeah, this sharing. I don't think anybody else is currently scheduled to present. There are other people who are.
I'd love to schedule some times to present, but I have other things. All the things that I think are fun to do, I have to.
Hey, you get to work on the website.
I am so excited I got to work on the website. Although unfortunately that's because our volunteer website developer is permanently unavailable. So I had to learn some basic website and
She
getting
means
up.
flaked out.
I mean,
Let's be
so if
honest.
people flake out.
We
and
took
say they
the approach with Pledge. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
So bottom line is, thank you all for being here. And we've actually had people come here and sit through a whole meeting and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to totally do this, this, this. And then we never heard from them again. Regardless, and you keep emailing this person. Did you do this? Did you get my email? So the best thing you can do is say, I'm going to do this. And the second top, best, most wonderful thing is like, hey, I can't do it anymore.
Right,
Thank you for letting me know. I will not be sending you emails, bugging you, wondering if I should ask someone else to do it. In fact, one reason I'm, Natalie, waiting to ask you to research some things, because there's some people who haven't responded. I'm like, can you research executives at this company? Can you research executives? So I'm waiting to see if someone bailed out so I can ask that. Before I sign you some not important company and 3 people are not doing something else. So, and we're not going to have addresses for something. So, welcome to our lives. This is what happens in this house the rest of the time. But yeah, so I mean, I really like arranging things online. So I was doing all these website stuff because when Gleb speaks to their Columbus Metropolitan Club, we want to have a nice looking site. But most of the other things that are fun, I'm not allowed to do because I have to be doing more things. Not like allowed, but I guess that's what it means. If you want to make a change, you don't get to do fun things. Yes.
Presentations.
Yes.
Can we go and watch how you do it?
I'd love
to
it.
learn
Absolutely.
How to do it. to
Yes, because
be
you
more support for you.
well, that and
Nice
also
too.
as a sounding board, I can be a legend in my own mind, and having someone who's there to give their perspective. I mean, I've done a lot of public speaking, and it's always is the best route, real quick. So having others present that will provide feedback, just the fact that you could watch the crowd while I'm rolling my eyes, trying to think of something.
Right.
I mean, simple things like that.
Oh, good. Okay.
Would
And
you-
for
The Columbus
the
Metropolitan.
Columbus Metropolitan, yeah, I'm thinking maybe you have to be a member.
You don't have to be a
You have to
member.
pay them.
You have to
Just
pay
the cost now.
$35. So it's a $35 fee. It will be a panel discussion. So it won't be the kind of thing that you will be doing if you'll be doing a presentation. You're much better off going and watching Gary. And Gary and several other people came to watch me when I was doing one of these
Right.
things and gave me some very good feedback. And we talked about how they can present. So that was quite helpful.
Would anyone else be interested in attending while I speak? Yeah,
Possibly.
you've got all my information. Here you go, Gary.
Yeah.
What were you speaking?
Where?
Sorry, I kind of arrived late.
Thursday. And I'm assuming the Kiwanis Club will be okay with,
Yes, of course.
okay,
Yeah, I
January
mean,
11th?
let me see here.
I saw the Metropolitan Club thing in the dispatch
My
today.
brain's
Hmm?
sick.
I saw the Metropolitan
so-
Club
so
thing in the
is-
dispatch
is your
today.
business card
Yeah,
on
Yeah,
that's
well,
awesome.
Alan
Well,
Miller,
we'll be able to go
who's the
Tonga Thursday.
editor of
So
the
this is
main
your
editor of the
card, right?
dispatch,
Why are
will
you
be one of the
presenting?
panelists.
Oh yeah,
Why?
I saw that. Yeah.
No, I said, where are you presenting?
Like, they
Where?
definitely,
Yeah, where?
yes, definitely helps get the news out.
Yeah.
Columbus North Lions Club. I don't know where that is.
You should have the address for that.
That's the one
That's this Wednesday.
This Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yep, at 11, did you say?
No. It's at 7 at night.
Oh.
No, Thursday I've got a change management forum to go to.
Yeah, so I'm going to Westerville Progressives Club meeting tomorrow, monthly meeting, and I was gonna like pass out some cards maybe, but they also have speakers. You can also, so I don't know what would be best, like pass out cards and sort of mention something while there's time for comments, or like talk about like having some like, formal presentation next month, and then like maybe one of you who's good at public speaking do that. Like which of those options?
How
I'd
are
say
you
so.
public speaking?
I'm happy to do that. Sure.
I'd say do pass out the cards and then say, would you like me to also do a public speaking? Would you like me to do a
Okay.
presentation on this?
Okay.
So I think a combination of both would be best.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so tomorrow, I don't know if I have the address or not, Columbus North Lions Club,
Likely to find
Wednesday?
it easier to get them to
or Wednesday.
allow you to do presentation.
I'm not
if you have
overloaded.
a number of people already from the organization.
I'm not preoccupied.
The leadership that there's interest.
Okay, today is
Yeah.
the
Or
7th,
even like
that's
if
the
you
10th.
talk and they're interested.
I think, oh wait, and this is,
7, 8,
So 10.
Yeah.
oh, then I have to look at my
Like,
calendar,
It's
because,
not like not that big.
I'll just Google and get the address.
okay,
That's what I'm looking
No.
Oh, good.
thank you.
Only lots of people did something or not a lot of people come.
North Carolina, no.
Yeah, see, that's January 10th. So you're doing it January 10th. So
Correct.
at the CMC at 7 p.m. I don't know where it's located. So
I'll find out. You did give me the name of the contact.
yeah,
person.
Kirby.
Yeah, and I'm
Kirby
gonna
Whitmer.
connect with him tomorrow.
Yep.
I should have
Okay,
said
there's a Columbus Northern Lions
Yeah.
Club.
That's fine. It's
Columbus
fine.
Northern Lions Club, where's it located? Oh, let me do this.
Sure, North Columbus, no. Right.
By the way, one question. So, I lost my phone. It got stolen recently, and I had to get a new one right here.
That's frustrating.
And for some reason, I cannot get my bucket mail to connect on the phone, like on the Gmail app, or on the Samsung email app for some reason. I'm like having to like log into it on my browser instead. So I don't remember like. I don't have access to the Slack right now for my phone right now. I'd have to like look for it in my email on the internet.
Let's talk about this later.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Sure. It's the Columbus Northern Lions Club.
That's what I have.
Columbus
And,
Northern Lions Club.
Melissa just gave me the address, 3951 North High Street.
And confirm with Kirby just in case. But yeah. Great.
You should probably post it on the Ohio Pro Truth Pledge Advocates page so we can all see it.
It's a good idea.
Okay. Excellent.
Send me an email just in case, and I will. Gary, that's a good idea. Just put it on Ohio.
On the Facebook group, yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything to share? I know this is your first time, so don't feel
Right.
like you can just pass if you.
The only thing I have to share is that I corrected a couple people online today.
Excellent.
Happy about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next time you do that, consider mentioning the project.
Okay, I will.
Anything since the last meeting?
Let's see. So I went to the what was it called? It was a humanist community / Well, it wasn't just a human student. It was a thing with that was basically.
Omnipresent atheist.
I think so. Like it was the what's it called? The thing like for like people who don't celebrate Christmas.
Oh yeah.
The secular solstice.
No, it's like
it's
a
like
Christmas
spaghetti
Eve.
monster dinner or something
It's
like
Christmas Eve thing for people who don't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I thought it was gonna be a dinner. It turned out it was just
The drinks.
yeah. I can't drink, so I wasn't there for very long. But I did manage to have some conversation with people there and like and get people interested in the pledge.
Okay,
Nice.
excellent.
Fun.
And Harry is working on things in OSU.
Yeah, so I'm having trouble keeping up with all the emails I have to be writing. Like, it's a lot of work for just one person, I think. And
Keeping up with emails that you have to be writing.
yeah, like I mean, I have some organizational difficulties, and I'm like, there's a lot of stuff to do all at once for one person.
Oh, you don't have to do it all at once. Just to be clear, just do it one.
Well, I mean, like, because like originally I was gonna have help from two other people, but they like sort of like quit on me, and like, so it's kind of a bit difficult. But I'm working on it.
Okay. Just one at a time is fine. You don't have to. There's no expectation of you doing everything.
Yeah, I feel like I have to like get them done as quickly as possible, and then I just get overwhelmed.
No, don't feel like you have to. You have to
Right.
just set a certain pace for yourself.
Yep.
However
Harry,
many emails per
Can I
day.
ask one question? How are you affiliated with OSU? Are you?
I'm a student there,
Oh, you are. So you're getting the word out to other students and things.
trying to anyways.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I was during the during the elections for the local elections. I think it was was it local elections or was it something else? The one where I went to the student union and
November
started trying to
election.
get people and talk to people about the pledge. So
Awesome.
that was last semester though.
I'm curious, I just wonder, like, if at any point you come across someone else at OSU who's very excited about it, you might try to get them to like come to a meeting or kind of work together. You might
I didn't
be
think
able
about
to
getting
find
them to come
anybody.
to a meeting, but I've always
Or get
like,
them to help you, or like, if, like you don't have to be
I
like.
probably should have thought of
so-
that before. I usually just tell people go to Pro Truth Pledge or I have my binder and like have them sign.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh.
I don't know, just sometimes like someone's like super excited and they love it. It's not
Right.
gonna happen, but if it happens, just be ready.
Yeah,
Like, I can use some
and I
help
keep
with
and I
this.
keep forgetting to put the signatures that I gather in my binder onto the website.
You can also send them. You can just take a picture and
Oh
email
really?
it to me.
Oh, right, I forgot about that.
It says so on the.
And
That's one thing.
you might want to think about bringing them to the social.
Right.
It's a
It's
good
on the
idea.
bus line.
Oh right.
Yeah, there's food. There's not just drinks.
So that you don't get overwhelmed, can you make for your next
Oh, yeah,
two steps
yeah.
when you come home tonight to take a photograph of the signatures and send them to Agnes
How much is the social? Sure.
and send
Whatever you want to
Whatever
buy.
you want.
Yeah. There's no requirement. You can just drink water if that's what you want.
Yeah. You don't have to order any food.
Nope.
So that's one. Get the signatures and get them to Agnes.
What?
Get the signatures
Yeah.
and get them to
Everybody was
Agnes.
playing food
I'm
last
from
time.
the aesthetics of America. I'm just
That's
gonna have
one. And
water and
second,
air.
email. How many people do you think have signed
I
the
met
pledge?
the duck for
How many
coffee in the
people?
sandwich.
I don't remember off the top of my
Remember that
head.
time I
5,
for water?
10.
I'm not entirely sure because part of the problem is I kept forgetting things. So I'm like referring to
Just
people's
water,
website
that's
instead. A lot of times I'm not sure how many people total.
I mean,
I
in
think-
your
I
in
can't.
your binder.
In my binder, somewhere between 3 and 10. I'm not sure.
Okay. And all of you.
Yeah.
Hey, you can come to the, the social.
I think it was at least 3 anyways.
So can you do that? Oh, those
Yeah.
steps.
Where is it?
Great.
Which
So
one?
say it again one more time.
The what?
It's
So
just south
take a
of here, just
photograph,
north of West.
send it
Yeah,
to
sorry, High
Agnes.
Street.
It's very close to here.
Okay.
So you know
Uh,
when High Street starts going downhill, if you're headed downhill, it's on the right. It's fairly.
I didn't know there was one there.
Yeah, it's
That's one. And the second is
Google
email
will
the
have it, too.
people
Yeah.
because you have their email
Plainville is
in the
what- what
binder.
you're looking for.
And invite them to the social.
It's
Got
also-
all the
Invite them to the social and ask them if they want to help you with doing activism around those.
I cannot talk business. Well, because these meetings are so full.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Harry.
Yep. You're welcome.
Okay.
Excellent. And you need to get going?
I need to head out. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Oh,
But
it's
so
okay.
can I see the rest of the notes? Will they be on the?
I can post them in the Ohio PTP.
Yes.
And at the bottom
Thank
of
you
the
for
notes
coming.
will be like
It
next
was
steps for
great to
everyone.
meet you in person.
Yeah.
And thank you for the initiative that you showed.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Well, I will keep looking for more things.
Good luck
Thanks a
tomorrow
lot.
at the
You have enough cards? You want
Westerville
more?
meeting.
I have some that you gave me. I'll take a few more.
Because we'll be here doing this from other things.
Yes. Do you have a sign-up binder for people who want to sign up on the spot at the Westerville meeting?
No.
I'll send you.
Okay.
Are you going to be able to print out sign-up sheets at home?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So Agnes, can you send her today's sign-up sheets that she can print out? Cool. Excellent. Tomorrow, and I will probably see you at the
These are
social.
for you, for me?
Yeah, Jim, just do you want to keep it, or
I'd
do you,
rather have
do you
it
not want? I'll email it to you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take care.
Thanks for coming. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Great. Okay,
So,
it was good. Very good stuff. So this will provide some good ideas for the start of strategic planning. So we want to do strategic meetings because we don't have too much time.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Because you had made a passing comment about being honest versus dealing with ethics. Okay, I've been searching some ethical arguments as to the value of truth. Some of your distinction between is just being honest.
So you can be honest but hurtful to someone. Ethics to me have to combine fairness, honesty, and compassion. Let's say those things.
Okay.
Whereas the pro-truth pledge is only about honesty. It doesn't have anything to do with fairness or compassion. You can be totally unfair and truthful. You can have total lack of compassion and still be truthful. But truthfulness, these are different. So I would say that truthfulness is a component of ethics, but ethics is much broader. Does that resonate?
Okay, that makes a challenge for me, because one of the angles I've been toying with is the value of, say, when a business person puts out a proposal, that they only propose what they're actually capable of doing.
Well, that's honesty.
Yeah, it's
So,
ethical to be truthful.
yes,
Okay.
It's just not the other way around.
yes,
You don't have to be ethical to be truthful.
yes.
I'm
Right.
going to kill you. I got it.
Yes, that can be honest. Good job being honest.
I just had to simplify.
Sure.
I am surprised at the oxymoronic behavior that I'm seeing just in a few business conversations I've had, because I would assume business people would pick up on it right away, but it's like, this is getting too close to politics. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, well, let's talk to Kip tomorrow and see how we
That's
can figure out.
what I'm looking forward to.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I'm curious to see what he has to say. Plus, the weight of his name will help quite a
That
bit
will
when I'm
definitely
talking with other people. I just want to be the monkey that turns the crank. That's all. It's just like,
Convey the message. So great. So I'm going to share a little bit about the strategic planning that we've been doing at the national or global level for the pro-truth pledge and kind of think about how to apply it here. So we've been looking at our growth since the launch of the pro-truth pledge. We made a pretty soft launch in January and kind of public launch in March. And essentially since March, we've gathered 5,000 signatures.
Apparently more because Harry's hoarding.
there,
Right.
come on.
So,
Could have been there last week.
Sorry.
and if we proceed at this current pace, what we're currently doing, we'll get to maybe about 10,000 by November. And 10,000 is not as much as we'd like to move the needle, especially for kind of the more major congressional elections. So the nutshell of the conversations about the strategic planning is that we want to do a couple of things. We want to take more risky strategies that would have higher payoffs, but more chance of failing. So it's kind of one aspect of the national conversations, because it would be, so that's one aspect. Other aspect is that we want to invest in several regions seriously and heavily, including Columbus, Central Ohio area, in order to have some more national impact rather than broad and shallow. So that's two.
Regions, what does that mean again?
Region, kind of invest more resources and effort into several regions.
Oh, region. I said
Regions.
region.
No, regions. Regions and
And get Prince Charles.
Yeah, I was like wondering, like, is there another word that sounds the same? But like, no.
And third, we want to use our limited human resources as effectively as possible. And so thinking about what are the most effective use of them. So those are the three big, it's the fourth one was that we want to cultivate more internal leaders, people who will take initiative and take on projects and who can
And say
be
so when they
responsible.
can do something.
Yes. So that's kind of the four big takeaways so far of the strategic planning at the global level. And I want to check with Gary and Agnes to see if there were any other big takeaways so far that I haven't mentioned.
I can't think of that.
So, as an example of kind of a risky strategy that we decided to pursue, we have, so financially, we have very limited financial resources, unfortunately. And so we found that if we invest into advertising through Facebook, let's say, which is a really good way of getting to people who share fake news on Facebook that's widely shared, we can get the pledge in front of enough people for one to take it for about $8. So we've been doing that experiment. We put couple of $1,000s into that experiment to kind of figure out how to do that.
Is that $8 per person?
Yes.
Per converter.
Per person
Per
who
conversion.
signs up.
Yeah.
For all the hundreds of people that see the advertisement.
Yeah, I think that's about, you get the advertisement in front of about 250 people that way.
Okay, for
And
$8,
the
and
reason-
one of them will sign, approximately.
So
And
you-
yeah,
after about, the goal would be $1 per person.
Yeah.
And if you got it down to $3 a person, that's pretty good. But the holy grail is if you can get it down to $1 per converter.
you said that when starting out, it's
Right,
common to
I
be-
was, yeah, my marketing guy said $6 to $8 a person is not
Mm-hmm.
unusual for initial conversions.
Right. And this is, of course, conversions for the Pro-Truth Pledge. We don't know how that works in conversions for other things. So, yeah, so that's kind of one thing for conversions. But, even if we had, we don't have the money to spend, well, on that, we can either spend money on that or we can spend money on getting a publicist to try to get me on national TV. Which I don't know what the likelihood of success is of getting national television coverage and what the outcome of national television coverage would be. But that's kind of the more risky, uncertain, but strategy that can, if it ideally works out, can get a whole bunch of signers at once.
So, what specifically could go right or wrong about you being on national television?
Well, first of all, I might not be able to get on national television
and still spend money.
and still spend the money because you spend the money to invest it into a publicist.
Or if you
That's-
spend on Facebook, like you're going to spend this money and you're going to get a little bit of something. But here you can spend the same money and you might not get anything. Minutes on CNN and like.
Yes, and if you get 2 minutes on CNN, will people take the pledge as a result of 2 minutes on CNN or not? We don't know. So, and so that's kind of, these are the two questions. These are the big unknowns.
I mean, could we wait on the television thing and do that once we have a bit more?
Yeah, but the thing is, we're trying to think how can we get to what if we want to get 100,000 signers in the next year?
Right.
If we just pay money for traditional ways to get it, there's absolutely no way we have enough money for that. But we could possibly, with the money we have, we can't get that many people to sign up by
I got a
advertising.
question.
Yeah.
Tinker and the other public figures that have signed, what are their Facebook followings like, and have they promoted this to their followers?
They have.
We had some good bummies.
Yes, on the
They
days-
shared on Twitter, and it's like, oh, like 30 signups that evening. Like
Yes.
that.
So yeah, so when they share it, you get a sign up. So yes, I mean our biggest sign up by far was when we got Michael Shermer to take the pledge, and then he allowed me to write an article for journal eSkeptic and sent it to an email list of about 100,000 people, and we got about 700 people.
In 48 hours.
Yeah, after that.
Of those 5,000 people that are right now.
Yeah, so 700 of those. So that was
Which is
huge.
like less than 1%, like a fraction of 1% of that list, but it was such a good fit.
Mhm.
People from all over the world.
Yeah,
It was just like
if it was the case that when we got a piece of content in front of, so that's about a 0.7% conversion rate. If we got a piece, if we got to the point where we can get a piece of content in front of people and we got 0.7% of them to take the Pro-Truth Pledge, it would be wonderful. I mean, that would be a wonderful outcome. But it's just a very good fit with Michael Shermer's ideas because he's, kind of promoting truth and facts.
Are there any other ways to potentially get a lot more signers real quickly besides just going on national television?
Not that we figured out, but anyway, this is not the topic of the conversation.
Sorry.
So that's kind of an example of a risky strategy. And so I want to think about, and like I said, we decided that Columbus, this area is going to be definitely one of the areas we want to invest in. We already have a big presence here. And there are a couple of other areas. And so I wanted to think about ways of applying these broader principles to the local level. How can we make the Pro-Truth Pledge matter in the 2018 elections by getting a lot of signers here in the Columbus area? That's one, and also by getting it to influential figures. I think it's especially good this year, the 2018 year, because Pat Tiberi's seat is up for election. So this is
He's not running.
He's not running. So Pat
He already
Tiberi
stepped off,
Pat Tiberi is the local Congress person
12.
Thank you,
who was kind of
It's not partisan group.
right. So he was this prior to this was a safe Republican area, and Pat Tiberi was going to hold it. So now that he stepped out, this is kind of up for debate or up for contestation in a real significant way. So there are candidates in the race where Democrats signed the Pro-Truth Pledge already. There might be other candidates, so we don't know. I don't think maybe one of the Republicans signed the Pro-Truth Pledge, none of the major ones. So this is a major race. Then of course the governor's race is another major race. So, but especially Pat Tiberi's seat, because we have a lot of people here in the Columbus, Central Ohio area who took the Pro-Truth Pledge. That might be something to focus on. We can get a lot of people in this area to take it. So that's salient.
Tiberi's been a critical Republican. So I would think whoever picks up Tiberi's mantle, if he's got to keep on voting the way Tiberi is. Anyway, yes.
Yeah.
You didn't share with the group, which I thought was fascinating. When you went to incumbents versus challengers, what was it? It didn't matter which party the incumbents belonged to; they weren't interested in signing the pledge.
Yeah.
It was the challengers that were interested in signing the pledge.
So this is why the fact that this is an open seat makes it much more meaningful.
Everyone's a candidate.
Everyone's a candidate.
Exciting.
Yeah, so that's kind of one dynamic that's going on here that makes it particularly salient and promising. So I want to think about ways of increasing the number of ordinary people who take the Pro-Truth Pledge. That's one. Increasing the number of influential figures who take the Pro-Truth Pledge in the area. People who might move the political needle. So that's kind of the Columbus Metropolitan Club are influential figures. These are kind of influential figures. And so getting to influential figures, people who have the money that backs the race. So that's another one, and of course, political candidates.
Has there been any progress with Les White?
No.
Because that's the way he is so blunt regarding Trump. I would have thought.
It would be great if we knew someone who knows someone there to have a connection. See if you got a handwritten letter.
I have nice handwriting.
Excellent.
So
I
has,
have legible handwriting.
so is it that nobody's been able to get in contact with him, or
Yes. I mean, we sent him a
There's so
letter.
many gatekeepers.
It's like trying to get in contact with like the governor of the state
right?
or something along those lines. Pretty hard.
Wow.
Have you been on local television?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, always good to get more local television, but the Columbus Metropolitan Club event will be on TV10.
Okay.
So, I mean, like I said, it's always good to get on more local television because that will get more ordinary citizens to sign up, and that will get to that outcome. So, local television, we've been in the Columbus Dispatch, which is the main newspaper for Columbus, and Ellen Miller will be at the event. And the more local media exposure we get, the better. The more events we do, because it's already presentations we do, that's a good way of getting our limited human resources to have the maximum impact. Then later in the year, when the weather warms up, there will be in-person canvassing opportunities. But Duff mentioned that there are some. What's the Democratic? Tell us more about the Democratic Congressional Headquarters opening.
What?
There was a Democratic Congressional Headquarters opening. Something.
Progressive.
Progressive Democrats.
I posted about
Yeah,
that.
I saw your
You saw
post.
that?
on
I don't think that was me.
That
That was
wasn't
me.
you. I'm sorry.
was me.
You commented on that, so sorry.
Oh,
said
yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't- Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But
I was just sent a couple events coming up on Facebook, and I guess there's an office of Central Iowa Progressives, and they'll have an open house for their new office space, and there will be, seems like some candidates and public officials and just like lots of people. So I was just wondering if somebody might want to check it out, attend. I don't
When
think
is it?
I hit the icon for tickets and it didn't have any information. They popped
it's a
out.
weird thing, but basically it's
Yeah.
free. It's
Oh,
a free
good.
event when I checked it. And
What event is this again? Democratic what?
Progressives are opening up an office. I don't know what
I
that
think
means.
it's on High Street.
Yeah.
Right. It looks beautiful, the new office. I forget the address.
yeah, I don't have it written on my
I will look it up. It's 330 South High Street. Wednesday, January 17th at 6 p.m.
3:30 North High Street.
South High
South.
Street,
South.
3:30. Oh,
January 17th.
January 17th. Wednesday, January 17th at 6 p.m. at 330 South High Street.
Central Ohio Progressives.
Yes, Democratic Progressive Ohio headquarters.
I'm trying to peg that building up my head.
Because that's like a subgroup of Democrats.
It
I'm
is.
wondering, that's what I was thinking.
It's awesome.
Where'd they get enough money to open up an office? So
That's not shabby.
Ohio's a swing state, so they.
Oh yeah, absolutely, I'm sure.
I'm sorry, what was that address again? I'm so busy talking.
303 South High Street.
3 what?
3:30. I thought.
3:30.
330. Sorry.
South High.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's an event, and I don't know if that would be appropriate to like.
Absolutely.
No, I didn't finish my
Oh, sorry.
sentence. With a binder right away, sign it, but like get talking to people if they're interested. Oh, you want to sign up right now? You want to help?
That's on
Here's
their
a card.
website.
The sync system, which is the binder that Bob was referring to.
Governed
So
by the midterm.
there are instructions that I'm going to send to Natalie online, so
As
you
in
can
like
print out.
midterms
You just
or-
buy like a 3-ring binder like that over there, and print out things and punch.
I
And
want it.
I'll send you all the stuff.
Good.
That's wonderful.
And then you can have all the information for someone. You can give them a flyer if they want to think about it, or they can sign right on the spot,
Yes.
on paper.
That's wonderful. Duff did that for a similar event this summer. So he went to a similar type of event this summer, and I think he got 2 candidates to sign up, as well as some people. So that's definitely going to be as well some kind
Duff-
of
Duff
Those
has
are
some
generally
serious-
friendly events. It's easy.
Yeah.
Duff has some serious schmoozing skills.
yes. Well,
You just talk.
sounds
Yes.
like you do as well.
Huh?
Wonderful.
It's not hard. You just talk to people.
Yeah.
Are you
yeah,
an extrovert?
Some of us prefer.
sometimes.
Yes. So yes, for extroverts.
Some of us would rather.
You simply walk up to somebody and you say, "Have you heard about the Pro Truth Pledge?" and it kind of just flows from there. Now you have to have a decent knowledge of what we're trying to achieve and be able to express that. But other than that, most people are like, no, what are you talking about? You know, and you're like, well, let me show you. And
Really? Because a lot of the people I've talked to have said things along the lines of like, oh, that's nice and all, but that would never work.
well, that will never work if you don't sign up for it. No, I've said that to a number of people
Wow, right.
because I have gotten that same response.
That's what I
Yeah,
was trying to
Right,
say
right.
earlier.
I apologize. I got us off track. But
No, that's what I
Yeah.
think is pretty much the same thing. It's like, this is just small people with small pieces of
Yeah.
power linking up. There's no other way to do this. No one has an atomic bomb of how to make it happen.
the other thing that's useful while we're on the topic, if somebody says it'll never work, ask them why. Why do they think it's not going to work? Because usually what the problem is they don't understand what it is. Mechanism by which we're going to create leverage. If they will then usually expose that ignorance so that you can then answer it and explain better.
Right.
Another thing that has worked for Michelle Bell, she said, well, if it's not, if you think, it's not going to work, why not just sign it and, just do things, sign
What's
it.
the harm?
What's the harm in signing it then?
Right.
So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So people
It
have,
does help that I have sales experience.
Right.
But you teach people how to do sales.
Yes.
So we can learn from.
So,
We
Harry,
should have for us,
We should.
kind of with techniques that have been successful for you that we can take out.
I'll think about how to put that together. Yeah.
We can hit
A
the
blog,
streets
great
with-
blog.
That'd be a good idea, yeah.
We'll send it to everyone.
I think we have. Yes, signature gathering for the
You have
future.
information on that, yeah.
Actually, some quotes from Duff. Oh, this is what I say when people say this. and
Yes, so we have that's there. So make a note to send it out to some of the people who are at this meeting. Just make a note for me. To
I
send
made a note to send all these things to Linda. I think I'm just gonna send her a page like, here's the 10 things.
Oh,
Yeah.
so is anybody interested in going to that meeting?
The Democrat meeting?
Yes.
Semester is like starting on Tuesday for me, so I don't know if I'll have time or not, but if I can, I might try.
Don't feel any obligations.
This
I'm
is the
gonna be out of town.
17th,
Yes.
and I got a prior commitment.
Travel again until they tell me that the job doesn't exist. I'm gonna have to keep doing it.
What's the address again?
I honestly can't remember. I think
It's
it works.
330 South High.
I'm not sure.
Yes. I'll post it again. In there.
South.
On the look on the street view, it looks like it's south of it's Broad, and then what's south of the Capitol?
And that will be taking number
70.
one bus.
The interstate goes.
No, just south of the Capitol. The road on the
Oh, you
south
did?
side of the Capitol.
495. Or do you
Yeah,
get
that's
fire?
not
I can't think of the name of the road.
Ooh, upscale.
But anyway, it looks like it's on the block south, within a couple of blocks south of the Capitol.
It's only 30 minutes.
Oh, around
Which, again,
where-
which would be on a yes, state. That's it. It would
Near
be
where
on
the
a
courthouse is.
bus line.
Yeah, it's about 30 minutes away by bus, yeah.
High Street has more buses than any.
Yeah, Harry, one of the things too that I find is rather than trying to close on somebody right away, to pick up on what Duff was talking about, more is getting a conversation going that gradually builds momentum so that you get to the
Right.
point. Intimidating versus,
Just saying,
I'm gonna
hi,
be
have you heard about the
exaggerating.
purchase
Right,
price?
and would you sign it?
Right.
We really should do role playing at some point.
That would be a good idea.
That's
yeah.
the best way to
Hare
teach
Krishna.
sales.
Probably, yeah, that's a good
Sounds
idea. I'd be into
Yeah.
that.
Maybe the next
List all
meeting.
the objections.
Yeah, maybe the next meeting.
Good
All
idea.
right, so that's
Good idea.
Yes, it is.
Very
I'm
much so.
not good
well, that's good that we can do role playing. So, are there? So again, I know I just outlined some stuff to think about, and we are time limited. So I just wanted
I
to.
had a question. How's the guy in northern Alabama doing? Wasn't it the one he was having a hard time because Moore had a real strong, Moore versus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, so that he was happy about that. I'm not sure how. I know about Urbnew.
Yeah. Or
Other thoughts?
I want to
Oh.
see you on TV at some point.
Oh, we have it on
Thank
YouTube.
news hour.
And I say that because I think there is a silent group, huge group of people who have a way to combat this,
Yeah, they feel they don't have a voice.
and
I
they don't have
definitely.
a voice.
We don't know what
And
to
that
do.
can be maybe get you on something like that. That you're speaking,
Yeah.
you're offering a way for the audience that's out there that sit there and hear all this stuff and they say, "What can I do?" This is just one little thing that they can do that. It's going to grow into, and that would be I'm thinking, shoot, just write a letter to the TV stations and put that in there. This is a way to reach that audience if that's important to them or could be important to them.
So yeah, that's why we're working on figuring out and hiring a publicist, because publicists know how to pitch angles, they have connections that just our letter won't be taken. They will take a look at our letter. So publicists have connections and they have relationships, and then they know how to pitch things. A real gateway that's hard to breach without a publicist, from our research on this topic. Cool. Okay. Great. So we'll pick up some strategic planning stuff for next time. And Duff, would you be willing next time to think about how to do some role playing and kind of manage that?
Sure.
Excellent. And that will be for the 28th. That's
So should we put that on the?
agenda. Yes. As the next step.
I actually would not put that on the agenda, or you'll get less turnout.
What, role playing?
Dead serious. Dead serious.
I-
What?
I think he's right.
Even
actually.
salespeople hate turnout.
I'm sitting here thinking, oh man, I don't want to.
Here's what I will. Here's what I promise.
did
You
that.
don't have to be the salesperson.
Yeah.
You totally
You
don't.
can just be the person that they're talking to.
No, I get it, and I want to learn how to do that better.
What I'll tell you is the same thing I tell I train salespeople for a living right
This is
now.
his profession.
So what I'll tell you is what I tell all the salespeople is role play works. If you want to get good at something, role play it.
I know for myself, the other component of that is I really need to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I need to do a lot of research between now and then and learn.
Or
I'm with you.
it depends on how good a
We'll-
parrot you
we'll
are.
do it.
Okay.
Because what we should start with is the people who've been doing it, like Michelle and me, do it with you as the person we're talking to, and just listen and learn to listen to what they're saying. You're going to turn it into your own words, but in the end, really, it's a matter of just parroting what other people are saying.
I would appreciate it because I'm behind the curve. So if you put anything together,
Yeah, and there's really no
That'd be quite
right.
fun.
Well, there are wrongs, but there's multiple ways to do it. So Gleb and I aren't going to do it the same way.
Absolutely.
So it's and that's okay, as long as it gets the results we're looking for.
Mhm.
But I'd be interested in hearing Gleb do it, because I don't think I've ever heard you pitch it to an individual.
Okay.
And I'd be interested in hearing Michelle do it, because I don't think I've ever heard her do it. So that's kind of the thing that's the way you do it. You listen to other people do it, and then you try it, and it's embarrassing, and that's okay.
Embarrassment
We're
is
all
one of
friends
the best
here.
ways to learn.
Yeah.
You'd rather be uncomfortable here.
Yes.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, than coming up to people, young people.
You know how I figured this out? I went to a big event. It was the march, and I walked around and I just started talking to people one after another, and I flubbed some of them and some of them I didn't, and eventually I just got better at it, and I learned what people responded to.
The March for Science, you mean?
Well, no, this was the
March
march
for
for
Truth.
this was the march for
Nice.
truth.
Yes. March for Truth.
Okay.
Nice. That we
There was a March for Truth.
Yes, that we organized here. Tell you about it later. Excellent. Good. So
Okay.
this is a good opportunity to move to the last stages of our meeting, which is first checking on meeting flow. If there are any comments or questions on how the meeting flow, anything that you want to suggest improving in any way.
That's good.
Excellent. So checking on next steps, Agnes will email people a bunch of things. And Duff will put together some
Delegation.
way of training
So
people.
also, Harry will email me.
Yes.
Yes,
and,
excellent.
and email those people.
Email
inviting them.
people I got
So do
signatures
you
from.
think you might make it one?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Oh, there's the cat.
Cool.
Same.
Yeah.
So-
Happy kid.
Russian
Is
delegate.
that?
Do you want me to contact you with an email or?
Yeah.
So,
that's just
anything
my
else for the
business
meeting?
card, so you
Yes.
I'd
So
like to
Oh,
connect.
I'll just call you.
Some, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
and the last thing that we do is acknowledge participants for various things that they did throughout the month, and also something that they're excited, something that people are excited about. So I'm really excited about the website being put together, and I want to acknowledge Agnes for working
Thank
on it. I think that's really awesome. And
2 websites.
Hmm?
One today and one tomorrow.
yeah, and I also want to acknowledge Gary for working on the business area. I think it's really awesome because this is an area that a person, I mean, Gary's a consultant, and so he's putting his own livelihood kind of, in a little bit of a challenge in talking to people about this. So I think it's really, and I understand where he's coming from. I have some of that experience myself, kind of with academia.
I consult and change management, so what I'm going to talk about is essential to the practice of my business. I'm like, okay, Gary, you're putting your business on the line for the Protein Pledge. Yeah, is that the smartest move?
So I just want to acknowledge
You're
that. I
asking
know
the
that
other business people to do
Yeah.
though. Sort of.
And that's the whole
Yeah.
strength through vulnerability.
Right.
So if I'm willing to do it, why wouldn't you be willing to do it?
So
Thanks,
how
Brad.
does talk
So-
about the Poacher's Pledge put your business on the line? I mean, it wasn't there for the whole conversation, I don't think.
we can talk after the meeting.
Sure, yeah.
So I really acknowledge that. I want
Oh,
to
thank you.
appreciate that and say, I noticed that, and I know that you do it, and I really appreciate that.
I haven't done vulnerability in a long time, so I thought this would be a good. Yeah, and I've been dying for an opportunity.
So going around.
I actually haven't been paying much attention to what anybody's been doing for the last month or so because I right before my Series 65, so I was studying intently right for that, and then the holidays happened. But glad to see new faces. It's always nice to see new people here and the expanding people who are interested in being in leadership.
I want to thank Duff. I'm excited for the next social. Because the first one we did
Yeah.
was fun. It's like, oh, we can talk about not business, and I look forward to more social activities. And I want to thank people who came for the first time, Linda and Melissa. Natalie, but she's not here because it's not easy to come to something for the first time and to kind of figure out and to try. So great job. So if you just want to acknowledge anyone. briefly.
Everyone, again, for how focused and you are on this and how much work everybody has put into it. It's very visible when you're looking. And thank you for welcoming me.
And thank you for coming.
Wilking.
Cool. Yeah, I was actually glad Agnes for you guys because there's a Keystone Top component to all this where people fall off the wagon and get back on, they fall up, And then it moves into a Marx Brothers movie where you're not quite sure how you're going to get things done, but somehow you find the people to do it. That takes a lot of fortitude to persevere. Duff, I'm really looking forward to your sales expertise as far as dealing with objections. Because even though I have my own business, I'm not a salesman, and I have a visceral appreciation of the challenge and dealing with it.
He's looking relaxed.
Yeah, right.
Not
Yeah,
necessarily relaxed at all.
And Linda, Melissa, I'm really glad to see both the more diverse blood we get the better.
Wait until the next meeting.
Okay.
No, she said no blood here. No blood. We're all zombies with no blood.
I want to thank Gary. Because, like you said, it's hard to come to the first
Undead.
meeting for helps.
So
I know
friend.
him.
And I didn't
Yeah.
lean on her too
He did
hard.
not. He
Actually,
did
I
not
didn't
press
lean on
me
her
at all.
Right. In fact, I said, "Would you be interested?" And she said, "Oh, I've already RSVP'd." And I thought, "Oh God, here I am behind on my schedule again." You beat me to it. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Okay.
Oh yes. I'm not sure what to say that hasn't already been said, to be honest. I think everyone here is doing a great job. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Okay.
Meeting
Thank
adjourned.
you. Meeting adjourned. For things
for
behind.
watching.
Yay.
Would anybody